Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So hopefully you guys can tell that the quality in this video is so much better than my last two videos. It's because I got a new camera. It is the Sony, I think it's OX 5100, and I love it. It's really nice. So the quality is a bit better. I hope the sound is better. The lighting looks pretty good. I still have to figure out the background situation, but bear with me for that. Hope you guys like it. So for today's video, I thought I would have a story time video, and that story time video is going to be on how my ex-boyfriend said that he would kill himself if I ever left him. Now, I just want to put out there, first things first, he is my ex. Don't go hunting him down. We have been broken up for a very long time. Sorry if the lighting changes, it's because I'm in front of a window and it's kind of getting late, so the sun is going in and out and it's cloudy outside, so bear with me with that. And also a really big thing that I want to tell you guys too is if you are going through a similar situation, I want you guys to know to please be safe. And if you are ever in an abusive relationship, whether it's verbally or physically or emotionally, that it is not an okay relationship to be in, and you really do need to leave the relationship and put around yourself with positive people. So I do want to tell you guys just a little story about him. If you guys want more stories about him, because trust me, I have a lot, I will do that for you. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So when I was in 7th grade, I started dating a boy. He first seemed very nice to me. He showed a lot of interest in me. We met over Facebook, which is, you know, not really that smart of an idea, but we did go to the same school. We went to the same middle school. We hadn't met each other before. We hadn't known each other before, but I think we had a couple of mutual friends. So we decided, well, he had messaged me. I think he had messaged me first on Facebook and was kind of like, hey, you know, how are you? How are you doing? And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And at the time that we started talking, I was actually dating another boy. I was kind of like, I'm not really feeling this relationship. Plus, we were like in 7th grade, so you know, what can you do about middle school relationships anyway? When this other guy started talking to me over Facebook, I was like, oh, well, he seems nice, you know, he's talking to me, he's engaging with me, you know, I actually have someone to talk to. So I think it was end of July, and he had asked me, I think he had asked me to be his girlfriend. I'm not 100% sure how everything went down, but I remember I was at the beach with one of my friends. I was telling her, you know, all about him, and she like looked at his Facebook picture and she was like, girl, ew. And I was like, yeah, his Facebook pictures aren't that good, but I'm sure he looks better in person, you know. I'm not all about looks. I don't want to be with like somebody who's hot but an asshole. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna break up with this other boy and I'm gonna get with this guy. So I sent my other boy a text. I was like, yo, homeboy, sorry, but we don't really talk that much anyway, so I'm gonna see you later. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I shot other homeboy a message and was like, yo, your girl's free. So he was like, I'll hit that up, I guess. Started to get into a relationship, and when school started back was when we actually first met. And I met him in middle school. We didn't really talk to each other that much, honestly. All of our communication was text messaging and Facebooking. We had hung out a couple of times, but really not that often. Like, we would see each other at school, we would hang out when school was over, just, you know, me waiting to be picked up and things like that. And I usually never rode the bus because I've had really bad experiences in a public school bus. So I would always opt to be a car rider. And when it came to me dating this boy, I was like, okay, I want to go and be a bus rider because all of my friends rode the bus and then my boyfriend rode the bus. So I was like, okay, I want to be a bus rider. The first time I saw him was actually at the bus place. Like, buses were kind of parked in this big gravel area, and you would literally just go and find your bus and get on it. And the time that I would see him the most was when we would wait to get on our buses and we would hang out together and things like that. So fast forward, we had been dating for a while, and he slowly showed signs of being controlling and manipulative. And the first sign I got of him being that way was when I was talking to him on Facebook and we were messaging each other, and he was saying, you know, my mom's such a bitch. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, that sucks. It does. My mom was still alive at the time, but he was like, she doesn't get me, she doesn't understand my problems. And I was like, okay, dude. And I was trying to talk to him, he's being like super distant, and I was like, yo, like, I understand you're upset, but she's a mom, you know? Like, you can't keep calling your mom a bitch, that's not cool, or whatever. And he started to get mad at me. And he started to like direct his anger towards women. So he would be like, women are just stupid, or like shit like that. And I'm like, dude, like, chill out. So that was like red flag number one. We started fighting a lot. I could map out our fights throughout the week. So our fights would start on Fridays, probably start around 5 p.m. on Friday. And it would go, a good fight would go through Sunday, and then we would make up on Monday when we saw each other. A bad fight would continue to like Wednesday, and then it would cycle over. So that was definitely a big red flag. Couples fight, that's a normal thing. But when you fight every day for like months straight, and you only have like good weeks for like 2 weeks straight, and then you just fight the rest of the time, that's not a good relationship. So we were fighting a lot. I told him, I don't think I can do this. This is too much for me. I already have a lot going on. My mom has cancer, she's dealing with a lot of things. I'm dealing with a lot of things. I'm dealing with stress, and I started to get into hurting myself and self-harming. And I was like, this is just too much for me. I can't handle this right now. And he was like, well, you can't leave me. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, well, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. To me, that was like, well, shit. Okay. So I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to think. I felt very trapped. If you think about it, it is very scary, and that's how a lot of people get sucked into very toxic relationships. So to put it in a map, how manipulative people get you to stay, at least in my situation and in most situations, it's true. He would degrade me and put me down. He called me a slut because I would talk to other boys. Like, I wouldn't flirt with them, I wouldn't be, you know, touchy with them or anything like that. They were just friends. You know, I'm a 7th grader or an 8th grader. Like, I'm allowed to have girl and guy friends. It's normal. And even as an adult, you're allowed to have opposite sex friends. And when it comes to a relationship, that comes trust. And he didn't trust me. And he would scare off all of my guy friends. He would threaten them. And then I didn't have any guy friends anymore because they wouldn't talk to me. Because if they talked to me, he would threaten to beat them up. And then it came to the point where I started to not have female friends, because I would talk to my female friends and I would talk to them about my relationship, and they would be like, yo, you gotta get out of this. So I would tell him, and he would be like, well, you need to stop hanging out with them. They're not good for you. And so he isolated me. And then that's one thing that manipulative people do, is they isolate you. They isolate you from your friends and from your family. And then he puts me down. Like I said, he would call me a slut, he would call me a whore, he would call me pathetic, he called me all the names under the sun. He would call me a bitch, he would say he hated me. So he would beat me down and beat down my self-esteem and bring me to this low point where I thought I was nothing. And he brought me to such a low point that I believed he was the best option I had. He would make me feel like I couldn't do any better than him. He would say, I'm the only person who will ever love you like this. No one will ever love you the way that I love you. And just shit like that. And it's like, that's not true. And I know when you do have such low self-esteem, I know I have been there. I have been there. When you have such low self-esteem and someone tells you that, you really start to believe it. Because if you keep telling someone over and over and over that they're stupid, or that they're worthless, or that they're pathetic, and that no one will love them, like, if you hear that every day, especially from someone that you think cares about you and that you believe you care about, then it does get to a point where you start believing the words that they say, and you start accepting them for a fact. And that's one of the hardest things, is to break out of that and realize that you are so much better than that. And I was still at the point where I didn't believe that, and I believed I am worthless, no one wants to be with me. When I started to self-harm, I told him that I was doing this, and he was like, you need to stop. And I was like, I know, it's not good for me, I need to stop. But if you've ever dealt with self-harming, binging, purging, anorexia, bulimia, anything like that, it is an addiction. And it's something that you can't just turn off. It's not something that you can just flip a switch and it's gone. It's an addiction, and it's just as bad as alcohol. It's just as bad as cigarettes. It's just as bad as drugs, heroin, anything like that. You get addicted to it. And when something bad happens in your life, you go back to that because that is where your safe place is. So whenever I would hurt myself, he would either hurt himself and then blame it on me, or he would threaten to leave me. That made me scared. But it's so difficult to do this and then blame me, which would hurt me, which would then in turn make me want to hurt myself. And it was just this vicious cycle that just kept going, and I felt so overwhelming. And at the point, I decided, you know, I'll just stay with him till high school, which I did, which is crazy. I told myself a plan, which actually worked, which I don't suggest doing this because it may not work for you, but somehow it worked for me. And I had told myself, when I go to high school, I'll just meet another guy, and then I'll tell him that I met someone else and I'll break up with him. That was my plan. And guess what? It fucking worked. I don't suggest at all, do not do as I do. Do as I say, don't do as I do. So, Micah. I met Micah my freshman year in high school, my very first semester in my English class. And had actually worked. And I'm not saying that I used Micah, because it's been 4 years, you know, I said his name. I'm gonna have to cut that out. Years, my ex-boyfriend is long gone, so I wouldn't be... Sorry, my camera overheated. I'm not saying that I'm with Micah because he was an out for me. And that's definitely not what I'm saying at all. But I'm gonna go back to what I was originally talking about. So this guy would just make all these kinds of threats. And then he would do things and he would blame them on me. And one thing that he said that really rubbed me the wrong way was I have self-harm scars all over my body, from, you know, my shoulders down to my ankles. They're on both of my arms, they're on my stomach, they're on my thighs, they're on my ankles. And I actually ended up in the hospital for a week, a psychiatric hospital. I think I'll do a whole nother video just solely about that. And I got out of the hospital, homeboy was like, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, I couldn't. You know, they took my phone, didn't have any contact with anybody except for immediate family and a church, someone from the church. So like the pastor or the youth counselor or the youth pastor, like those are the only people I had contact with. And then he got mad at me because I didn't tell him when I couldn't tell him. And then he said something that really stuck with me, and he said, do you know how embarrassing it is to date a girl with scars on both her arms? Pardon me? I was like, pardon me? Like, excuse me? Because he self-harmed. He self-harmed. He would hurt himself, but he would only hurt himself on one arm. But, oh no. Hurting yourself on both arms? That's unacceptable. That is just unacceptable. And then he would post his bloody arm on Facebook for all the world to see, and then people would come at me and say, how dare you? You deserve so much better than you. And he would just make all these people turn on me, and that was something that I just couldn't believe. Like, I could not believe that these people would only take one side of the story and think, oh, well, this kid's hurting himself. Like, me too, homeboy, on both my arms, bitch. So manipulative. I can't tell you how manipulative he was. It was just so incredibly crazy how someone can do that. And it really just appalls me. I'm sorry for the shadow here. It really does surprise me that people can be that way. Crazy story time. My voice is shot. I'm gonna have to drink some water, plus my camera's overheating, so hopefully I can get through this outro really quickly. So that was the story of my crazy psycho ex-boyfriend. I hope you guys enjoyed. The main thing I want you guys to take away from this whole situation is you ever are in a situation where you feel unsafe, if you are ever with somebody who shows signs that I have explained to you, if they are manipulating you, if they are isolating you, if they are bringing you down, you need to get out of that relationship because it is not safe, it is not healthy for you, it is not good for your well-being or your mental state. And that is so important, is for you guys to be safe and to be healthy. So please, guys, tomorrow, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that bell icon so you get notified of when I upload videos, because I don't have a set filming schedule yet. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!